Hi, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you something that I have done in Electric Quilt Stitch. And I just received the software, so you will see one of my first attempts using this new software. The center rings block in my Summer Games quilt was quilted using my infinite circles, which are really 5 interlocking circles, and that was put inside each of the rings. The design was originally done in Art and Stitch, but I realized that I could do the same design in EQ7, and using EQ7 Stitch, I could actually use it to stitch it out on an embroidery machine. To get started, we are going to go to Work on Block, and we are going to create a new block. So we'll do a block, new block, and I'm going to do a patch draw motif. And this gives me an applique tab to work on. Now I'm going to go to my more drawing board options, and in that I'm going to go to the patch draw options, and I want to check the snapping options. There is one called Snap to Node of Drawing, and I want to change the sensitivity on that to 10. And then Auto Snap Aligned Segments, I want to change the sensitivity on that to 10 as well. And this is going to help us connect up the segments and make that a little bit easier. I also want to make sure that in the Join and Fill option that the Auto Join when drawing is turned on, and so I'll check OK. Now when I select my pick tool and I'm looking at all the other options, one of the other things I want to do is turn on the graph paper and make sure that the horizontal and vertical on that are set to 2, and that's just going to help me better identify the center of the block that I'm working with. So now I will go to my common shapes, and I'll click on that oval in the flyout box, and you will see the circle or the oval, and I'm going to select that, and I am going to just draw from that 5-0 coordinate to the 5-5 coordinate. And now when I use the shape tool and I click on that, notice that there are basically nodes at the top and the bottom, and this is going to help me when I use my wreathmaker. So now I'll use the pick tool, pick the entire shape, click on the wreathmaker, and I'm going to create a cluster with 5. I want to put cluster spacing at 0. And for the resize, I'm just going to start with it at 100%, and I'll click on OK. And so you've got a nice set of 5 overlapping circles, but they don't come together in the center. And to make them continuous, it would be easier if they did so. So I am going to just move each of those circles so that it actually intersects with the center of the block. So I'm going to zoom in to make that a little bit easier, and I'm going to select one of the circles. And in order to move it, I do need to get to that center of that piece, and where you get the double arrows, and I can just drag that down. And now I'll do the same for all the rest of the circles. Once I have all 5 circles basically touching that center point, I am now going to split the circles and connect them in one continuous line. So if I use the shape tool and I click on one of those nodes in the center, and you can see that node is now selected and it says middle corner node, I am going to use the edit toolbar up here, and I'm going to break the curve, and that should break it into 2 pieces. Now I should be able to move that node. Oh, and it still isn't broken, so I'm just going to select it again and break that. I might have moved a different one than what I broke. In fact, that was the case there. So I'm going to continue to find those nodes, select them, and break them. And I'm trying to pull them far enough apart that I can tell what I've done. And once I've got everything done, I really shouldn't have anything at all in the center. Okay, so now all of my circles are broken, and I need to now connect up to create a continuous path. Now I'm going to zoom out to make that a little bit easier, but in general, if I, let's say, started at this top one, I'm going around here, and then I want to take that end point and connect it to the beginning point of the next circle. And then I'm going to continue to follow that around and take that end point and connect to the next one. Follow that around, take that end point. And because I've changed the sensitivity, it's just a little easier for these to all connect up when I get close. And the last one here, I'm going to connect to the beginning one. Now I have a continuous circle, but of course they're not all in the center. So this is where I'm going to zoom in again. And I'm going to again use that shape, find those nodes, and bring them right in to the center of the drawing. And my goal is to get right on top of all of the previous nodes when I do that. And now I'm going to zoom out. If I take a look, I think that looks pretty good, and I can add that to my sketchbook. Now, if you're not going to use your embroidery machine for stitching, you could actually just print this out and use that as a guide for your machine quilting. You can also use this design and add it to the quilt, so you can use that to addition what that design is going to look like. Thanks so much for watching. For additional tips and techniques, please subscribe to my newsletter at onpointquilter.com. Part 2 of the video will cover how to take this continuous line quilting design and bring it into EQ Stitch to create a design for your embroidery machine.